Welcome back to another episode.
It's another week here on the Unorthodox Film Podcast. We're very excited this week to have another guest with us. Fred Evans is going to be here with us a little bit later. Last week we had Matt Santia in, and he helped discuss with us movies that were about or involving music, but were not musicals or biopics.
That's correct.
And he had a suggestion for The Piano Teacher, which ended up being our random watch of the week. And so the three of us, Quinn, Joseph, and myself, decided to watch it, as is the flow of the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about it. Quinn, I'm going to start with you. What did you think of The Piano Teacher?
Oh man, it was disturbing, which is okay for a movie to do, but it wouldn't cut. There were some times where we had like a 5-minute take of just the most unsettling thing, whether it was her like trying to make out with her mom in a bed, or like her having her like boyfriend or whatever that guy was, like doing everything she asked him to do, but it's like rape because she doesn't actually want it. Or it was so unsettling and disturbing, and honestly everything Matt promised it would be. So I don't know why I was so surprised. But
that's true. He did say it was going to be uncomfortable.
It was that.
It was definitely uncomfortable.
It was purposely uncomfortable. It didn't really make me personally uncomfortable, but I was like, this is
it
odd.
Wasn't enjoyable. That's what I mean.
This is weird.
By discomfort, it wasn't like it wasn't exciting. It wasn't like the normal emotions you feel when watching a movie. It definitely did not have. But I know what you're talking about. There were definitely some times where I noticed like the shots would just hold, and in fact sometimes they were just on a singular person and the action was taking place off camera. And even if it was just a person playing a piano and it was a long extended cut and all you saw was their face and their eyes, which is interesting because I think that's always a good way to get into the mind's eye of a character. But one of the things I didn't really grab from this was any character. Like there was no point in the movie where I felt I understood the characters at all. We didn't get much backstory to it. We were left to the imagination of like what her provocations were towards her predilections, her.
Sure, yeah.
Like yes, they implied the mother was a bit degrading, and she carried that into her classroom and degraded her students, and you could see this chain of abuse happening. But at the same time, it was very narrow-minded. I feel like that's all you knew, so that's all. Well,
that's really what I got from it. Is like. It was narrow-minded because her world was narrow-minded. Everything, all worldly pleasures she had given up for just musical pleasure, right? So she had this crazy skewed view of what that kind of relationship would be through going to those...
The sex shops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, she thought she wanted certain things, and as soon as it was there, she didn't want it. But there, I mean, he did less than she asked him to do in writing.
Yes.
In writing. It was like contract.
And she was definitely overwhelmed.
Hell of a list.
It was hell of a list.
Yeah. We didn't even get to hear all of it. Because that was the one time they were cutting away to other stuff. Yeah, he even said one time, thick.
I would say there's no argument to the fact that the movie was... featuring music. And one of the things that I found interesting was the fact that the only music you heard was played on screen. There was no soundtrack to it, so the amount of silence in the movie was deafening.
It really was.
Yeah.
That one time when she broke the glass and poured it into her student's coat pocket.
Yeah, and
that was
at that
so
point
loud.
the music was 3 doors down, so it was muffled, it was muted, and so like cinematically, like there was definitely a lot of character that the movie had. Like there was some things that I was intrigued by in the way
and it was well
that
done.
it was presented.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an art house movie.
For sure. It was French subtitles.
Is it something that you'd watch again?
No.
Me neither.
I wouldn't walk out of the room, but I wouldn't put it on. Like if somebody else put it on, I wouldn't be like, nah. I'd just be like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. All right.
So if the movie came up in conversation in the 0.2% chance that it's likely to come up in conversation, what would you really have to say about it to somebody else if they said like, oh my God, I just watched The Piano Teacher? What would be your first response?
What did you think of it?
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd want to hear because they sound excited. I'm not one to be a buzzkill. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. What about you, Quinn?
I mean, I would. So if they had seen it, I would same question. I would be like, I guess I would just ask them, were you disturbed by it? But I'd more probably just like let them talk and see. But yeah, no, like probably just ask them like, were you disturbed or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't have much to say about the movie.
What did your parents do to you as a child?
Yeah, if you liked it, then like I'd ask a bunch of other questions and maybe check them into an asylum. But
right. So I mean, like we all watched it because it was recommended, through the podcast. So I guess I would want to know what made you watch it. Like, was that something that you came across? Because we saw it on HBO. That you came across, and was there something in the description that made you decide you wanted to watch it? And after watching it, do you regret watching it? Because it's a different type of film.
Never seen a film like it, honestly, never.
Well, my wife and I, when we were first dating, used to go to the old Royal Oak Main Art Theater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'd go see art house flicks there and stuff like that. And on our second date, I think it was, we went and saw Antichrist with Willem Dafoe. And,
okay.
Whoever the actress is who plays his wife was the director's wife.
Okay.
And that was quite the out there movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
I've only seen the opening sequence to that movie, which is
excuse me,
insane.
Yeah, the whole movie was a bit crazy. So like, I'm kind of surprised I didn't happen upon it before this, but like, that was like we went out to do that. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that I actively pursue. Like,
it's definitely not a movie that I feel would find its way into
finding movies
casual
is different than it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I'm curious how it survived. So it was released in 2001. I hadn't heard of it until Matt had brought it up, and coincidentally, it was on HBO. So I'm curious how a movie like that survives. Like, what is the conversational element that keeps its relevance, or is it something that survives not being relevant? Like, is it something that's going to have
a cult following and
a bigger conversation decades down the line?
It sounded like it does, and I'm not going to say like it's a cult classic, but it seems like it has some sort of cult following, especially if we watched it like for this and Matt recommended it, because even if it was just because he's a fan of the director, like I mean, a movie like that, it is special in like a twisted way. Like I haven't seen like the amount of movies you guys have seen, but I've seen a lot of movies and I've never seen one like that. And I've watched my fair share of art house, but
yeah,
that movie was especially uncomfortable. Like,
yeah,
for real.
Yeah, that was its intention though. It was trying to make you uncomfortable or be uncomfortable and convey what these emotions and moments could be like. So it's a story from whoever was telling it, right? But not one for everybody.
Okay.
Did you guys like learn anything watching it? Like obviously it made us feel uncomfortable, but did we like it was hard. I was trying to like take away something from it, like some sort of lesson like hidden in the film.
Yeah.
Did you guys take anything away?
I think I did. Kind of what we were talking about, like the long takes. Not that I would use them in the same way, but I definitely learned that limiting the amount of times you cut the camera away from something can be incredibly impactful and possibly more impactful than shoving a lot in your face. So I definitely took that away. The director and the director of photography definitely knew what they were doing with their minimalist approach to it. And the movie that I've seen by that director, and I should pull the guy's name up, but he also did White Ribbon, which I did watch with Matt. And that was something I noticed in that one as well, is he uses very long takes. They're not exactly roaming oneers. A lot of it was static, but he could leave the camera in one spot for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and a lot would happen, but because the camera wasn't changing, like stuff would happen in, like specifically in White Ribbon, there's a scene where the camera is outside of a boy's bedroom, and then you see down the hallway to the family dining room. The father goes past the camera into the boy's bedroom and disciplines the boy off camera, so you hear whipping. The siblings and the mother are now front frame and observing that, and then finding their way into the dining room. And then father comes out, walks past the camera down into the dining room. The family follows, closes the dining room door. Then the boy slowly walks in and closes the door, and it's one of those flapping doors. And then the scene proceeds to where you start hearing the forks and knives on the plate before the camera ever cuts. And it was so fucking impactful because of how that was done. Like, I don't think that the scene would have had the uncomfortable nature that it improved upon it and definitely mastered that technique.
I can see that, yeah.
So that's what I think I took away from
My
the film.
takeaway would be don't be an overbearing parent. Let your kids be kids, you know?
I think
sexual repression is a terrible thing.
Yes.
I think the mom was like the secret villain of the movie, like, because obviously both characters are like bad. I mean, the piano teacher's like openly bad, and the kid is like, I mean, I want to say she brings it out of him, but like, does he? Like, I mean, does she? Like, the way
I'm not sure where his character ends at the end. I agree with you there.
Like, she was doing some pretty racy and raunchy stuff on her own, but she was doing it on her own.
I think ultimately
he was the catalyst,
innocent and was no longer innocent by the end, and I think he was definitely conflicted with that.
I don't think he was innocent. I think he was just as bad, but he didn't know it.
Do you think the way he initially came onto her was bad writing?
Yes, I don't think it was bad writing. I think it was like a gesture towards his foul character.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say because I kind of feel
that young man had never been turned down a day in his life till that teacher turned him down, and then he was obsessed with her. That is unhealthy. Out of the gate. If you didn't pick up on that, maybe you should turn a mirror.
Yeah.
No,
overall, I don't know that I could say that the writing in the whole film was good.
He climbed
I don't
in
know
the
if
stall over the door.
Maybe I'm not the one to be able to.
While she was on the pisser.
Yeah.
To really
red flag, fellas. Red flag.
Yeah.
To really decide whether or not it was good writing or not. I didn't care for the writing for most of the film because I felt the arc itself was very flat.
Yeah.
There was for a 2-hour movie, a lot felt like I was waiting for like what's the conflict with, like there was very, very, very slow build up, and while that works in a lot of movies to a really good way, even what that built up to, I still thought like what ended up being the climax I felt would have been a great second act. And then maybe something crazier for a third act, but it just wasn't that kind of movie.
It went flat on me there. Like, when she grabbed the knife in the kitchen, I was like, is she finally going to kill her mother or something?
Right.
And then she just mutilates herself a little more.
Mildly.
And
like,
leaves.
It wasn't even that serious.
Just leaves, yeah. I was like, eh.
So anything else you guys want to say about the piano teacher?
It definitely, for a 2-hour and 10-minute movie, it felt like 2.5 hours.
It felt long. It felt really long. Quinn, anything else you want to add?
Felt long, wouldn't watch it again, but glad I watched it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Would you recommend it to anybody?
If someone came to me and was like, hey, I'm looking to feel really disturbed by like an artful film that isn't a horror movie, I would recommend The Piano Teacher.
All right. So I think with that, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we are going to have Fred Evans in the seat, and we are going to talk about movies about drugs.
Yeah, movie with drugs in the plot or as a mainstay.
As a mainstay. All right. So we will be right back.
And we're back.
All right, so we have... There you go. You got it? You good to go? Ooh, some head on that one. And brush it off.
Get the Foley.
Welcome back to the Unorthodox Podcast.
Fred Evans, welcome. Welcome, buddy.
Good to have you. Hell yeah.
Good to have you, man.
Oh, I'm leaving you hanging here.
No, you good.
So Fred is a friend of ours from set. Fred, tell the listeners just a little bit about you.
I'm Fred Evans. I am primarily a sound mixer. Me and my wife run a company, About Right Media Group. We mostly focus on sound mixing as a service, but my other backgrounds is editing, writing, and I'm getting more into directing. I had no idea I was going to be in film.
No?
My past life.
None whatsoever, huh?
Absolutely. I was
What was the original trajectory?
IT.
Yeah.
That was
fits.
my.
That fits. I got some IT questions for you too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought that was it.
We originally bonded over computer talk and editing talk. So
You
we
were
sure
getting
did.
y'all computers together for the editing.
For the editing, yeah, we sure were, and it all worked out really well. We're pretty satisfied with what we have.
It's a gaming behemoth, but it's even more powerful for editing.
They could all be gaming.
It's video, right? Video processing is video processing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Literally.
You know, as long as you're using it right.
Yep.
So we asked you on today to help discuss movies that are about or featuring drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Matt Santia left us with that last week when he joined us. You were telling me a little bit beforehand that you aren't a huge movie watcher.
Which is ironic because, again, I had no idea I was going to be in film, but I grew up on music and video games. So that's where I got my inspiration for writing. And I wasn't never a huge movie buff because I found like music was very portable for me, so I could always travel and listen to music and isolate. With movies, I felt like it was a lot of commitment for me to have to sit there and watch the movie.
Right.
The roles are reversed now. Like I can watch movies all day, but in the past that wasn't my upbringing. So
what about television? Was there a lot of television viewing or cartoons? Yeah.
So now like
Saturday morning cartoons.
pretty much,
Like
yeah.
old school
Pokemon,
stuff.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, like anime. Okay, that's not.
Yeah.
That's not all that old school.
Or Cartoon Network,
Oh, I love the
Nickelodeon,
Cartoon Network.
Some
and
Dexter's
Nickelodeon.
Lab.
classic.
Courage the
Right.
Cowardly
Courage.
Dog.
Fucking
Yeah.
love
Two
Courage.
Stupid Dogs.
Ed, Ed, and
Yeah.
Eddie. Angry Beavers. Bro.
Cat Dog.
I watched every single one of those. And
Big fan. So I didn't have
Hey Arnold.
I didn't have cable growing up. So for me, my first like real experience with Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon was when I went to college my freshman year, and I discovered Dexter. I discovered Courage.
Real Monsters.
You know, it was whatever was on repeat. Then
That was my favorite.
dude,
I love it. I totally missed out. I had the ABC Saturday morning version of Doug. I never got like the original
Doug.
episodes of Doug because his whole friend, they all changed colors by the time I saw them.
Yeah. They made them more
forgot they
friendly.
did
Clearly
that.
different people by the time I saw them.
They normalized them.
The Beats.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get that. I grew up a lot on cartoons. Saturday mornings was like the only time that we had free reign in my house to watch TV. Normally during the week you had 1 hour after school. So you chose 2 cartoon blocks on Channel 20 or Channel 50 that you got to watch. And on Saturday, the earliest you could get up to the time they stopped showing it when basketball came on, you could watch whatever you could fit in.
That was it, yep.
So, I mean, I even remember
pre-Simpsons.
what was it,
Saying
the
something.
cartoon superstars against drugs or whatever it was. I actually came across that when I was doing research for this. It was like an hour-long episode that aired. It was multi-aired on ABC, NBC, and I believe CBS. Like, they played the same show for an hour, and it featured cartoon crossovers, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were in there. They had some WWF wrestlers were made, a stop on that. I don't remember all the cast members. It was
Reagans,
just this,
man.
this
They're
bonkers.
drugs.
It was this bonkers ass hour-long cartoon, like menagerie
Nancy
to just keep
Reagan.
kids
Just
off
say
of drugs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so that leads us in. Are you ready to talk about drug movies with us?
Yeah, that was surprisingly like out of all the movies that I had to have my upbringing was watching hood movies involuntarily.
Involuntarily.
So I don't remember a lot of
How many
them,
times have
but
you seen Blood In, Blood Out?
once, ironically. Other stuff was like Thicker Than Water or like I don't even know if you listened to
Juice.
Juice, yeah, that crazy ass movie. That was a crazy, weird movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was mostly like hood movies in my upbringing. But when I got larger into watching more movies, then I started, watching some of the bigger pictures. And yeah, I'm just glad I'm not a product of my environment with these movies because that was like all they used to watch.
Yeah.
In my family and stuff like that. I'm just like,
I'm gonna get you,
I hate-
sucker.
Yep. That Menace to Society, all that good
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel comfortable starting us out today, or do you want me to throw it over to Joe?
yeah. So you said 4.
4. We're gonna do 4. You don't have to throw all 4 at me. Give me 1.
1. Okay.
Pontificate a little bit. We'll do some discussing, and then Joe will go. I will go, and it'll be back to you.
Okay, so the one that I really like was obviously like Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
I saw that you had that on your list as
did.
well, which that movie has inspired me so much in terms of like how Scorsese handles his comedy moments. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that movie could have been done any differently without Jonah.
Oh,
Jonah
100%.
Because
I think that's Jonah Hill's like big turn for
Hands
like
down.
if you didn't take him
Yes.
seriously before that,
yes,
that has to be the moment where you're like, oh shit, this guy's fucking for real.
yes.
Yeah.
He can fucking act.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was excellent in Moneyball too, but
He was excellent in Moneyball, and I don't want
it
to
was a
discredit him for that.
different caliber.
But I think the risks that he took in bringing that character to life in
Yep.
Wolf of Wall Street, I think,
Agreed.
because sometimes that's what actors have to do. Like, it's good to put on a good performance, but when you see them, and not to tangent too far, but one of the recent movies, Babylon, which has been shit on a lot, I do highly recommend you all see it. But Margot Robbie specifically in that movie, you can tell in her performance she had to step aside for a moment and be like, this is not Margot, this is this character, and I have to let go of whatever anyone thinks. And the things that she was willing to do on camera for that character
Yep.
was rewarding on screen.
Yeah.
And I think Jonah Hill in Wolf of Wall Street was a good example of that.
Yeah, he
Nice.
did that one very naturally, and he took a whole pay cut for that movie.
Really?
He took a huge.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but I think it was somewhere in like the 50,000 mark where
No
he just
kidding.
did that whole.
You know,
movie.
I believe it's worked for him. I haven't seen a lot of his new stuff, but he's directing now. He's
Yep.
he's got a documentary out where he talks one-on-one with psychologists. I'd like to
hungry
see
for that role.
Yes.
He was like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm doing this role. It's Scorsese. I want because
Yep.
it was like what's a bucket list. He wanted to be on a
for
Scorsese,
sure.
and then he just fell in love with that character.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he was like, this is the guy that can take me over the top, and it did. He went for it.
Yeah, I don't think he's done a standard Jonah Hill movie since then.
No, yeah, because I know he's been doing more directing, like the mid '90s movies. Well, the last one he acted in was what was that, You People, or
Yes,
the
on Netflix, which I haven't seen. I've heard mixed reviews on it.
I've not seen it
Terrible.
either.
What would you say was terrible about
I
it?
plan on watching it. Just
Everybody knows that the chemistry
right?
was
the
not
chemistry.
there.
Did you hear about the CGI kiss
Yes,
at the end?
the CGI.
I had to watch that clip. I had to watch that clip. I was like, is this for real?
And I had to show my wife because
like, if you have to do it that way, which why? Come on,
Well, so they
put your
cut.
lips
They
together.
cut like right before the kiss, and then they just morphed it, and it came out. Someone on set was like,
Not
"Yeah,
the
no, I
morph
saw it. I
cut.
was there." And they,
they morphed it. And you can see the little pellets of flowers fall. I'm like,
oh man,
dude,
but why?
I feel like with that movie,
I mean, just do another take.
Oh well,
Yeah,
I think legit, like
they didn't have no chemistry.
yeah,
like,
they felt like it wasn't going to be any better. Like, I guess basically what we're learning is, had they physically done it, it wouldn't have looked any more real than them digitally pushing their lips together.
Because my thing is like,
Well, if you're gonna do that, like, do it better. Like, make it like. There's ways to sell that.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
I'm not saying it's easy.
No, I agree
Sure,
with
it's
you.
fucking hard and tedious, but you already spent that much. What's
Yeah.
another day
But we
or
just got
two?
done talking about how great of an actor he is, so I know he can create feelings within him.
Right.
How could you not fake a kiss?
yeah,
Right. This is what I'm. Just put your lips together. You're actors.
Like,
This is
that's
what
got to
you
be
do.
one of the easier things to do.
Okay,
But that
well,
was throughout-
let's go back to Wolf of Wall
Yeah.
Street.
Okay,
because-
we
because
okay. Thank
let's-
you, Joe.
let's
Thank
not,
you, Joe.
Let's not focus. Just Jonah
That's
Hill was
fair.
great in it, but
That's
what about
fair.
the unscripted moment with Matthew McConaughey with the
yeah.
That was unscripted.
That was
completely
so-
improv?
that was
Yes.
so uncomfortable. Like just watching that scene.
Really?
'cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, dude.
You
it was
felt
powerful.
It was
Leo,
powerful
yeah.
for me too.
Like I was on Leo's side. I was just like, "What the fuck is this guy
When
doing
that movie
right
supposed
came
to be
out,
like that, but
when that movie came out, I was on
that's
a
why they
path
kept it in.
for.
Because it was so.
I was on a path for getting into a sales career when that movie came out, and I was like, okay, so I know this lead character is not someone that we want to be like, but obviously he's demonstrative of success,
Yep.
right? So let me take away from this. There's got to be something in there that you can learn from. And at the end of the day, I was like, man, I am not going to start using cocaine.
First and foremost, no,
Tried it though, Brad. It might work
No.
for you.
you're not
No.
getting into
I
training.
have. It does not work for me.
The scene where Leonardo DiCaprio is so baked out of his fucking mind that he has to crawl out of the Lamborghini and pull his ass up the stairs.
With the Quaalude.
Is cinematic gold.
Yes. So good.
That performance that he put on to make himself as limp as possible was not only entertaining, like I chuckled, but at the same time I was incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Incredibly uncomfortable.
I thought he was gonna like really hurt himself.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
Like,
I was rooting for him. I'm like, go, go, go. You can do it.
At first, I thought it was like kind of a thrilling scene. But when he got his legs stuck on the door trying to get inside, I was like, oh, okay, this is pure comedy. He's having such a hard time. And I was sold when him and Jonah like met in the kitchen. He's like, you rocked it. He's just like, just Quaalude out of his mind, and the Heimlich maneuver. That whole thing was just.
Growing up, I was always a Martin Scorsese fan, but that movie to me is like the penultimate. Like a lot of filmmakers, a lot of people in any industry, a lot of times their benchmarks are early in their career, and then they just keep making stuff. We just keep watching it or keep listening to it. But for me, like, we can't all hit gold every time, so I'm not going to put that on anybody.
Right.
But the fact that he has so many good movies back in the 80s, the 90s, and even the 70s, and then to come out with that one in the mid-aughts, to be as brilliant as it was, is not only astounding to me, but
still
uplifting.
Growing as a
it's uplifting to me that he can, because again, he's always going to get hit with that. We talked earlier about the 2-hour time mark. Like at this point, it's pretty much standard. I can't sit down in an evening and pick a movie anymore because it's like I don't have fucking 2 hours and 10 minutes. I just fucking don't. But he says this story needs to be told in 2.5 hours. That's what I'm going to do, and it didn't at all feel like that. The movie jumps,
and that's
unlike
actually
The Piano Teacher. That felt like a 90-minute movie in 2.5 hours.
So goddamn long.
Yeah,
and that's what always prevents me when I have to get into movies. I'm like, when I see that 2.5 hour mark, I'm like, I don't know, man. I might have to fragment this in like segments.
And people say that. People are like, well, why don't you just take a break? And I'm like, you know what? I get that. But if that were the case, I would watch a TV show.
Exactly.
Like, the experience of watching a movie, I want to be able to absorb it all in one sitting.
Yep.
And it's on me if I can't make it through it, if I'm just too incontinent, I got to get up and piss, whatever. But it's not the point. The point is, like, because it's not even just the bathroom. I get ADHD and start grabbing my phone.
Yeah.
I start looking at my emails.
Right.
I start thinking about, like, can I start making some work calls? Can I start doing this? Can I start doing that?
Of, like, these people are like, well, you got to watch it a second time to catch. I was like, look, if it was told right, the foreshadowing would be, like, blatant enough but hidden enough that I don't have to think back. I'll remember without. And now in these movies, sometimes they're like, they do the foreshadow and then they cut back to the foreshadow to remind you, remember when this happened? Like, that's just spoon feeding. That's too much for me. You know what I mean? So it's one of those.
There's always been something about Martin Scorsese's storytelling that like subverts that. He brings you in, and he's always been able to tell these massively epic stories without
banter.
Yeah,
with a lot of banter in it, and because like with writing,
is very subtle.
Yeah,
you also can't miss it. But
it makes the second watch rewarding as opposed to completing the feeling.
Yes.
So yeah, I would definitely stick on that. Watch Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you want to start us out with this week? What's your first recommendation?
Okay, well, I got quite the list here, and I'm not sure where I want to start, but yeah, let's. So it's a newer one for me.
Okay.
Which is this is off kill for me. It's 2022.
Oh, okay.
It's called Spiderhead.
Oh,
with Chris Hemsworth and Miles Teller, Tess Haubrick, Journey Smollett. Yeah.
No, I've not heard of this one. Tell us about Spiderhead.
A couple more people. Yeah, Spiderhead. It's a Netflix movie.
I was going to say
came out in 2020. Two inmates form a connection while grappling with their pasts in a state-of-the-art penitentiary run by a brilliant visionary who experiments on his subjects with mind-altering drugs. So Chris Hemsworth is a doctor who does experiments with drugs and they're like behavioral modification drugs, and it's really just messed up, but in an interesting kind of way. So I mean, I would put it kind of on a level with The Piano Teacher because it is kind of disturbing. There's
Was it boring?
No, not at all. So I guess never mind that. Matt with his Just the Guys is a bad movie. So I picked a
Have you ever seen Just One of the Guys from the 80s? Okay, well, you can't weigh in on this.
Yeah.
I even called it, it's a good bad movie or a bad good movie, whatever you want to call it.
I said it was trope-tastic, and it is.
It is, and he was like a bad movie. I can't rightfully call most movies a bad movie outright, and I still wouldn't do that to the piano teacher, Matt.
We'll bring Matt back in and have a conversation. So sell me on Spiderhead.
Spiderhead, it's just okay. So he's doing these experiments on convicts.
Who is the he? What actor is playing
the
this
doctor? Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, this Hemsworth, really?
Yeah, I said that already.
I was typing.
I'm re-clarifying. Okay, the doctor, Chris Hemsworth.
Thank you.
Thor, whatever, So one of the Hemsworth brothers.
One of them.
Right.
You got it. Okay, is the doctor, and he's doing experiments on ex-cons though. Right,
okay.
So on ex-cons, and so they technically sign up for this treatment, right? So they're giving consent. Oh. But the kinds of experiments, like some of these drugs make you like incredibly like maliciously violent.
And these could already be maliciously violent criminals.
Right.
Okay.
And some of them make you just like straight up horny, and some of them like he has some of these people like just talking about spending time in their happiest moments, and then the next session they're like duking it out to like almost the brink of death, and then the next session they're like can't resist each other in lust, and then like when the drug wears off, they just click back to normal, and but they remember all of it.
Oh, okay.
And they're all locked down in this compound. I mean, you can imagine.
Yeah.
Like the kind of palpability that
are they locked down solo, or are they locked in a room with the cellmate?
No, they have their own rooms.
Okay.
But there's a common area where they eat, and
Does this movie take a realistic approach, or is it more like
that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, more like a horror, like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like what's the marketing pitch of the movie?
I mean,
I'm not phrasing it right. Was this supposed to be like a horror movie?
Based
Is it
around
supposed
drugs.
to be?
I would say it's a psychological thriller. But yeah, there is a bit of mystery to it. You know what I mean? Because you don't really know what's going on. You discover it as it unfolds in front of you, and ends up being like a mutiny, and all the It's.
I'm sold on the cast. That's a pretty strong cast.
Think Dr. Moreau's Island for the 2020s. Yeah. It was fantastic.
So does this doctor, Chris Hemsworth, one of the Thor brothers, is this all a hypothesis for him? I mean, don't ruin anything. When they pitch it, when he goes in as a viewer, do you think he knows what he's doing, or is this whole thing just willy-nilly for him and he's going to find out what he finds out? Does he have a goal in mind?
Yeah, you think he's taking notes and stuff, and you kind of, that's part of where the mystery comes in.
Okay.
The people, the convicts, start asking questions
the same
because they
questions.
do have sessions with him where he asks them about their progress and stuff like that.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean it's really
interesting.
I'm curious, like
what's the word I'm looking for?
Chris's character.
It's gripping.
Is he playing
pulls you in?
Is he playing a more serious role, or is he playing like a sort of not comedic but more lighthearted, goofy kind of?
It's a good question.
It is a more serious role, but it also has that kind of lightheartedness that you're comfortable coming from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is a more serious role.
Is he believable in his performance?
Definitely.
I don't think he's a bad actor. I think he's been
and I
poorly
think this
positioned.
really showcases his diversity because, you watch him smiling and convincingly to this patient, and he turns around and he's like. And he gets really angry, and as soon as he turns back around, he's just good old doctor, whatever his name is, Yeah.
So. How many of his patients does he bench press?
You gotta tune in and watch
Because I've seen he's been playing a lot more serious roles outside of Thor.
He's been in the MCU for so long, it's time. I think all of them need to start stretching their legs, otherwise it's it for them.
Yep.
You know, they're just going to keep getting the calls. Robert Downey Jr. was like, fuck Iron Man. I'm not doing Iron Man anymore. He did Dr. Doodle, shot himself in the foot. Now he's like, yeah, I'll do Iron Man again. No one else is calling.
The director of that was Joseph Kosinski.
Not familiar with him.
It was good. It was really good.
So Spiderhead. And that was what year?
2022.
2022 on Netflix.
Yeah, it came out last year on Netflix. That's
Interesting. Right. Netflix is terrible with it. They have so many movies.
So I was going to say, like, I can't keep up with the content.
Because somehow that hasn't been, like, I'm not even familiar with, like, a flash frame of that. Normally you'd get something, but they keep pushing stupid shit towards me. And they used to have a good algorithm. They used to really nail what was coming out.
I like sci-fi and fantasy
Me
and
too.
dystopian stuff, and this is kind of like it meets in there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
As do I, and my watching habits on there would also indicate to Netflix that would be something I'd be interested in. But I can't even. I'll be honest. Of all the streaming services I have, I log into Netflix now the least.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I don't know what is most currently because I log in there real quick and I'm like, I don't. It's just full of shit. I don't.
And I think it's because since they started doing more originals, less like TV shows coming in, movies coming in.
Less nostalgia.
Yeah, and it creates an audience that has to really be invested in Netflix, and it kind of reminds me of like if you're a musician and you're doing like a concert and you perform a new song, nobody's gonna rock to it because they have to listen to the song again.
Right.
And just
it doesn't have that implanted feeling that the classics have.
Yeah, you're not releasing a new song at the concert.
Exactly.
You want to do it the week before so people come in bobbing their
And it's
head.
not that I'm against new content. Like, we strive on new content, but because we're in an age and an era of...
how they represent it. Like,
It's
there's
just
no way to... Like, you can't go to your local... What's coming out this week at your local paper?
Oversaturated.
There's none of that.
And, I mean, there have been some shows on Netflix that, what was it, Teenage Bounty Hunters had one fucking season. It was awesome. It was an awesome show. I think it was poorly marketed, but they just went and canceled. I was like, man, this show like really just hit a stride. At least the second season could have been really fun.
Yeah.
But they're just dropping stuff off so quick.
Yep.
You know, if it doesn't catch. But here's the thing.
How is it going to catch if there's no push? I don't see a billboard.
I need that time.
A magazine cover. And I know we're dinosaurs. These are archaic. But they still use these things. They still work. You can't just publish like ads on Facebook and YouTube. You know, you have to still use the old print. You know, not as much maybe, but
they're going to figure it out.
We're definitely living in a communication overload, and with this day of technology where
data overload. Yeah,
we're getting hit with so much. All of these different products are coming out.
15 streaming services.
My wish list or my dedicated queues are so long.
Yeah,
you know, I get overwhelmed. I don't know where to start.
Yeah,
you know, and with this type of media, it's about mood. You know, I'm someone, I watch a lot of different things, but something like Piano Teacher, had it been in my wheelhouse, it still only would have been in my wheelhouse on a certain day.
It definitely mood's a thing. So like I'll be searching through just trying to find something that does strike my mood because I want something new, but I want it to be of a quality that I'm, you know, because sometimes you're like, oh, this sounds good. You put it on and you're like, it's horribly dubbed.
Yeah.
And I don't care that it's foreign, but I mean, subtitles would have been better than that horrible dubbery.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. But I have my list. Like every time, like that sounds interesting, I save it. If I'm not in the mood for it now, like I don't want to watch this now, but and then I come back to it. It still sounds good. Then you finally, I'm in the mood for that. You hit play, and you're like, oh, it's crap.
Yeah. And that's the fear. That's the fear. Like when you expect when you go onto Netflix at the end of the day, you want to just scroll and watch something quick, but instead you got to do all this research, and you feel like you invest in too much of your time, and it's going to be a crap movie.
It sometimes takes me the time I have allotted to watch a movie to find a movie to watch.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I guess
then I just
earmark this for tomorrow.
All of a sudden I'm back to South Park.
I'm not in the mood for that one. Yeah.
It's like just watch your reruns of 20 minutes. Yeah. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to throw out a recommendation. I think you guys have a little bit different tones going, so I have one that I'm going to put in here because I don't know where else it would go in conversation. And this one is Will Ferrell's Everything Must Go.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen this?
I have. It's been a
Have you
while.
seen
I've only
this one?
seen it
No.
once.
So Everything Must Go. Will Ferrell is, I believe he's like a salesman or a marketing something, but the movie opens with him losing his job. And the problem is he is a terrible alcoholic. And his wife has no empathy for him whatsoever that he's lost his job. So not only does he lose his job, but he loses his house because he shows up and she's like, obviously this has been coming out with you. So the movie from there takes place in his front yard because she just throws all his shit out there. Everything must go. Right? And so now he's living in his front yard in a yard sale
Trying to sell off all its
as he's overcoming and dealing with. And what I found so
brilliantly awkward and
incredible
funny.
about it was, I believe see the year this came out. I believe it was like 2010, but it was right after his high of, Anchorman and all of those Adam McKay type features, that this was something completely different in what you
This was
expected out of Will Ferrell.
He did two like that. He did
The one where he played like a character in a story.
yeah, like self-fiction or something like that, or
Oh, yes.
whatever.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Stranger Than Fiction, and then he did these two movies right after his like comic strip.
Right, like this would be his
Step
Truman
Brothers
Show,
and-
right?
this would be a
His
serious
step
movie.
aside from the thing you're used to him doing.
Stranger
Yeah.
Than Fiction was also very good.
And
Not
it just
drug related.
it does a really good job, and I chose this one because it features alcohol, and the way that it goes about it, I think it's important to highlight the fact that alcohol is as much of a drug as
Yeah,
anything else is out
Most
there,
definitely, yes.
and for us to undermine it as being acceptable because you can go to any corner
my
store
favorite.
and get it. We ignore the fact that it can be just as dangerous to a family or to a career, and simultaneous with that, it was probably hands down one of my favorite Will Ferrell performances ever. That it's definitely on my list of recommendations to go out and check out.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's very good. It's a different side of him that most people aren't used to, but I love everything he's ever done, and I just, some of the slapstick stuff, it's great, but it's not why he's great. You know what I mean? Sure, make the money for the studio so that they can let you do what is actually brilliant about you.
Right.
Because he does have an amazing singing voice.
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of joke about it in Step Brothers, but he's so talented.
And that's the thing about comedy actors, they are extremely good at doing or branching off into outside
Comedy's
comedy.
the hardest thing.
Yeah, like Zach Galifianakis and Birdman, phenomenal
Yes.
Yeah.
in a more serious role. Comedy actors really can knock it out of the park. It's just, I guess, if they get typecasted or put
It's
into that box.
typecasting. All of a sudden, they get put in,
Yep.
and no one wants to hire him from anything else. They want that Will Ferrell type, and then Will Ferrell shows up and does something different. They're like, yeah, but can you do the fat, silly guy thing?
Exactly.
And then you have the opposite side of the spectrum with John C. Reilly, who is an amazing actor, but started off more serious.
Much more
Yeah.
serious.
And now,
Yep.
he had to, almost earn his way into the comedy. Because most comedic actors start off as comedians
Yep.
and then move into acting. So to do it the other way, it's nice to see that
Yeah.
it can go, but it's obviously very difficult to do, to outlive your typecast.
Yeah,
Because
for
directors
sure.
and casting agents want from you what they
Well,
think the audience
the
wants,
problem with
not what you're trying
typecasting-
to do as an artist.
Even as viewers, when artists are typecast, we eventually just get tired of that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Is this guy being that guy
Yep.
again?
Right.
And now
Adam
the
Sandler,
actor-
I think, is a great example.
Oh,
yeah.
Hidden Gems or
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems. Yeah, man.
But yeah, he's been Adam Sandler for 20 years now. Just for the first 20 years, he was just Adam Sandler. Then he was able to step out of that with Punch Drunk Love, and
Yep.
but it was still I think Punch Drunk Love was almost too early in his career because it
Probably.
kind of
I liked Punch
it was a
Drunk Love,
cult
probably.
classic, but it was a box office flop. There was no.
It's not even in a discussion of P.T. Anderson movies. A lot
Right,
of
and
times.
it's just it's one of my favorites. I love that movie.
It was so awkward and uncomfortable
It
in an
did
entertaining
just
way.
well enough for him to keep doing those kinds of movies, but it I don't think it really hit home until Uncut Gems, and then the latest one he just did
So the
Hustle.
Hustle, I want to see that one.
So
Did you see
good.
it?
So
I really
good.
wanted to see that one.
That was
That's a
amazing.
Netflix one where he plays a basketball coach, and it's
Yeah.
also
I have
very
not.
serious, very true to life, and the trailer for it is incredibly moving.
He is so endearing.
Wow. I've not heard of that.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That's how far.
Well, so I saw a theater trailer for it. It was playing with another movie I saw in the theater, and I was like, oh my god, this is a Netflix movie. And that was some months before it was going to be released. Mm-hmm. Then it released to absolute silence, and then it just, because Netflix just keeps pushing stuff out. So it's like, once it's on the platform, they stop talking about, they're talking about the next thing. So to our earlier conversation, stuff just gets fucking buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I highly recommend it. Anything that Adam Sandler does that isn't comedic, I will recommend. He's amazing.
Interesting.
He's funny too, but
I think he is. But I think,
like that newest Adam Sandler-esque one that he did because Uncut Gems didn't win an Oscar or whatever. Hubie Halloween. I love it. If you like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, that's
I watched it on your recommendation
for you.
And I avoided it for the same reasons that I ended up liking it, and it was just the fact that I had to let go to the fact that I just needed to watch a stupid Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything more out of it than that. It was fun, and I watched it during the season, so I got that out of it.
It's probably the last funny thing Kevin James has done since his first stand-up. I'm not kidding.
I don't even remember him in that movie. I don't even remember him in that movie. Okay, Fred.
Look here. So, this is a tough one. I'm picking between American Hustler or my favorite, Pulp Fiction. That's my favorite of all time movie. But American Hustler.
American Hustle?
Is it Hustle or Hustle? Because it's been a long time.
Is it the Christian Bale movie?
Yeah, the Christian
Hustle.
Bale. Yep.
Hustle, yep.
That movie, that story was really good, but it's so many flaws in that movie, technical wise and just pacing.
I think that director alone has, because Amsterdam was his latest one, which I also enjoyed, but is also very flawed.
Yeah, I enjoyed American Hustle, but there's some...
I think his movies are entertaining, and I agree. I think American Hustle came out right around the same time, similar that Wolf of Wall Street did.
Yeah.
And I remember in the trailers thinking they were both going to be like hard fought to be one better than the other, but Wolf of Wall Street was clearly a better movie. But American Hustle was still like an enjoyable time in the theater.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good movie. I wouldn't rank it with Wolf of Wall Streit, but
no. But it was well done. Towards the second half,
with a powerhouse cast like that.
That was the thing. Like with Christian Bale and
Jennifer Lawrence,
Louis C.K.
I forgot Louis.
Yeah, he was in there briefly.
He was
Bradley Cooper in there with a Jerry curl too. Yeah.
Jeremy Renner was in that too, wasn't he?
Was he?
I'm gonna look this up.
Wow. That is a heavy.
It was star-studded, man. Even the bit roles.
Yeah, that movie. It was been burned into my brain basically because I love the second half of the story, but I remember a lot of flaws in it. Especially with the sound, because I honestly never really pay attention to sound when I'm watching a movie because I'm just immersed in the story.
As you should. Like you shouldn't be paying attention to anything. If you're paying attention to it, then
but that ear you've cultivated still betrays you. Yeah,
many errors.
When they do a shit lighting job, I'm like, why would it was? It was so good. No, I don't even know where we're going anymore. Like it pulls me out of the story faster than anything. Because I know, I'm like, I could have fixed that in 5 seconds. Why didn't you hire me?
And I thought I was going crazy, and then they made documentaries about it, how bad the sound was. And I was like, I knew it, because this is awful booming technique. This is basically like straight out of college indie mistakes that you make. And I'm like, this passed with this cast? It felt like there was no accountability.
It felt like it was shot in a weekend for fun. It came across like a 48-hour film project.
Let's not hate on the cast. The actors act.
With extra prep.
Somebody behind the scenes above the line didn't know.
Jeremy Renner was in it. He played the mayor.
Jeremy Renner played the mayor.
Yeah, because I remember it was a period. Right. Wasn't it a period piece?
Yeah.
And he had this. I remember him having
Was he the one?
That's why I remember Bradley Cooper with the Jerry curl.
Yeah.
Was he the one who gave Christian Bale the microwave? That was like the newfangled machine of the time. You told him not to put metal in it or something.
I think I'm looking at the trailer playing right now on IMDb, and Amy Adams is the only one who's clean in the whole movie. Everybody else has this very rugged, unattractive. Oh yeah. Rough. So there's Jeremy Renner. He had a coif. He had a whole like thing going.
Quaff,
in the,
You called it a coif. Quaff, dude.
I think my favorite scene out of that whole movie was when Bradley Cooper was making fun of Louis C.K. at the end when he finally solved. Well, not Bradley Cooper, but I forgot who was making fun of Louis C.K. when they finally cracked the case, and it felt so improv when they was clowning him because
that's what I mean, like about the 48 Hour feel. Like I feel like they were like laughing and like, that wasn't in the script. Fuck it, I'll go with it.
But yeah,
those are some of the best parts on set, though.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Improvs
if it works, it works.
Laugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think just like with the exception of Silver Linings Playbook, because I think that movie played super serious.
Yeah.
Everything else I've seen by that guy has this little tongue-in-cheek, like we were just having fun with the cameras rolling.
Silver Linings Playbook, it definitely was tongue-in-cheek. It was a little harder to read that, but it was there still. I love that movie because I like the subtle tongue-in-cheek. I don't like the Kevin Spacey slammed in the face with a sledgehammer kind of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay, so my next movie was... It's funny we're talking about Bradley Cooper. Be Limitless.
Okay.
Which came out in, where's that at? 2011. Director Neil Berger. And it's starring Bradley Cooper, Jake McDormand, Robert De Niro, Abby Cornish, Andrew Howard, Anna Frell, Hill Harper. Good movie.
It's a great movie. It was on my list as well.
It's facing unemployment and his girlfriend's rejection. Writer Eddie Mora, played by Bradley Cooper, is sure that he has no future. That all changes when an old friend gives him a drug that produces enhanced mental acuity. Stoked on the untested chemical, Eddie rises to the top of the financial world and attracts the attention of a tycoon, Robert De Niro, who intends to make use of a fortune, and there's all this. So you're only smart when you're on the drug, and it has this debilitating hangover. The drug's called MTC or something like that, but it's made up. It's not a real drug, but ultimately it does show you the value of moderation and hard work to achieve your goals. So it's still the same moral that you'd find in any other like drug or alcohol, you know.
What I liked about that was that they gave it a positive side effect. Like they were like, "Oh, it's going to make you smart. How can you argue that this is a bad drug?"
Right. But then, like, if you use it too much, and like, I mean, obviously addictive, you can't even think the same way. Like, if I can imagine, like, if you had that kind of clarity, you just always go back to it.
Right. And it didn't. It doesn't stick with you when you sober up. You're fucking.
And you don't remember anything. You can't even read your notes because they're too intelligent for you to comprehend. It's that serious. So your brain, it's like a radiation. It has a half-life.
Right.
So every time you use this super brain pill, you are knocking years, like you're basically assuring dementia by the time you're like 40 if you use this for 5 years straight.
So and not only that, it hits you with like all of a sudden the like any other drug, the yearning need to continue with it. The how do I buy more of this? How do I continue living my normal life with this? How do I convince the people in my normal life? Because he runs into people from his past who thought nothing of him then, and now he's killing it in this market game. But without it, he can't really do that. So now he's making deals with people who believe he's this. So it's all the different things that quote unquote real drugs can do to your life negatively. They throw it in a positive way, so that you can make the argument
any
like
kind of control or moderation, it spins out of control.
It hits you with control and moderation because regardless, the excessive consumption can still be a problem. I think it's a brilliant movie.
And that's the worst kind of drug because those advantageous drugs, I'm not justifying why he's addicted to it, but it's like
They do a good job at finding no argument against it.
Right.
Yeah.
What I love about that movie is if you walk away from that after the conclusion of the movie still saying, man, I'd love to get my hands on that, you miss the fucking point.
Right.
And that's what I think is so brilliant about it.
But I'd love to get my
I'd
hands
still
on
like
some.
to try it. Yeah, I'd still like to try it. Smart for one day. Woo.
Yeah.
But, I mean, really, like the things that unlock, the doors that unlocks for him is crazy. And all of a sudden, his life, he's an absolute failure. He's turned completely upside down, and now he's successful or making successful paths because he was a writer with no ideas, and now all of a sudden he's churning out manuscripts that like his writers are like, oh shit, like
He's taking in 100 books a day. He's writing things that are so profound. They're like, we're just going to publish it because we don't even know what it means. Like it's just insane.
But to what end? You know, without the drug, it's
Like-
still not you.
Yeah, like after a week or two, he's like, why am I even writing anymore? And
There's
he's
even
doing
the
all
scenes where he's got to
becomes a
go and
financial-
find. He's got to find that last hidden stash that he thinks he has. So it's like all of the standard things you see with addiction is encapsulated in the film, and really it just really does a good job at bringing it to light because you're not watching him. You're not watching him throw up in a corner. You're not watching him, you know.
It gives you all the plight without shoving your face in the reality of
Yes,
it. Like,
yes.
but the reality's still there, thinly veiled
Yeah.
behind the fantasy of a fake drug and drugs that only do good until the side effect kind of thing. But it's just as poignant and forthcoming as like the Basketball Diaries or Requiem for a Dream, which are both about heroin. But that's really what Limitless is about.
Yeah,
it's about
100%.
being a junkie. Because
It's giving
those-
you that false confidence as
Yes.
other drugs do, but you know, seeing it in something that we, as a society, like, no one's going to turn to. Oh, he's smarter. Tell him to stop taking that. You know, so it puts this positive spin on it, so that you can still see the negative and see beyond what is positive, and still like, no, this is harmful, and this is not to be fucked with.
Yeah. It was
Kind of-
really well done.
I highly recommend it. That's a very good recommendation,
It
Joe.
actually spun off into a series on Netflix.
It did. Have you seen any of the
Wow.
series? I haven't watched the series. I just kind of feel like
I did watch it just because I enjoyed the story.
I just
and
feel like because of the conversation we just had, like I feel that it's wrapped up neatly in.
it was, and
I feel like a
watched it
series
just-
might.
It was one of those one
Water it
seasons
down.
done from Netflix. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
it was only a single season?
Now the movie itself wasn't a Netflix release.
No. It came out quite a few
But
years ago.
yeah, they did purchase the property and all that.
Yeah, that movie feels,
One and done.
feels very metaphorical to like, you know, acid.
And you know what they
mushrooms or-
did to it, to the series? They turned it into like the buddy cop detective thing, right? So
So it wasn't even
he got
focused on.
recruited by the FBI, and they would give him one NXT a day.
See, but this
kinda.
is what I'm saying. So now,
Yeah,
now,
the show sucked.
now you're watering down
But I
what
watched
the
it.
what the thematic morality, you know, of the movie was
Yep.
supposed to be. Like this was the message. It was you weren't supposed to
It's
support
okay. They're
this drug.
sanctioned by the government. Trust your government, kid.
feels very metaphorical.
Or
It also
else.
reminds me, like, I know it's very unrelated to a movie, but I play video games a lot. Deus Ex,
Okay.
because that game focuses on how we use augmented limbs and prosthetics to enhance our daily lives. But then, fast forward, those things require drugs to keep those limbs moving.
Right.
And now people turn into addiction, and they're out on
Right.
the street because they can't afford it. The price is hiked, and it creates a whole political nightmare of that drug that we need to do our daily lives.
What's
So,
this game called again?
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex. Okay,
yeah.
I'm not a big gamer, but like I'm not opposed to that being like
Mhm.
I know we talk about films, but that's still something that's highly creative. Takes a collaborative team of artists to put together video games. Yeah,
Arguably, and
I'll
this,
allow it.
It's a very
this is definitely a whole nother topic, but arguably, I would say that, and I stand behind it, that video games are probably circumventing both movies and television in their storytelling capacity.
Oh, it has already.
You know,
Yeah.
like coming from the era of
It's
Nintendo,
definitely
stories were super
bigger
slim.
market money wise.
Yes.
Well, there are and I don't
it's
want
a
to
sport
tangent
as
too
well.
much.
Yep.
I've got one more recommendation before our next break, so I'll keep this short. But I mean, games like Metal Gear Solid have 2.5, 3 hour ending sequences.
Yeah.
So here you are spending how much time beating the final boss, and now you go into an end cinematic that you can't pause because if you hit start, it skips the whole
Yep.
fucking thing. You can't pee, and you don't know what's going on, and then 2 hours and 45 minutes pass, and you're like, am I still watching
You
this
just
end credit
watch the
scene?
movie.
That's a movie.
Yep.
That is a whole fucking movie
They
done at
snuck
the
it
end
under your
of a
nose.
video game.
They just snuck it in there and they're like, we got you, bitch.
So, but then after an experience like that, if you ever play a video game that just ends, then you're like, well, this was fucking dumb.
Exactly. Yep.
There is no.
You gotta use your
if you don't have that
Middle ground,
If
Brad.
you don't have at least 15 minutes of some
one.
sort of conclusion, like I've sunk 150 hours into this, and you just give me end credits after I kill the final boss.
They're
Give me
giving
some
you
sort of conclusion.
Every
here.
level of option you could have, and you're still not happy.
Yep.
Pick
Give me
which one
something.
you like, and
Something
just
is
don't
all
play
I
the
ask
other
for.
ones.
Fred knows what I'm talking
Yep.
about.
I know what you're talking
There's a
about.
sense
too.
of
I'm just giving you
dissatisfaction
shit.
when it's just
I am
ends.
here to give you shit.
Played 40 hours for a 1 minute end.
Right,
Like-
right.
Like, really?
Yep. Like, go ahead, because that's the payoff. I mean, yes, you want to have fun with it. You know, if the game is not fun, you're not going to keep going. But there ultimately needs to be some sort of reward
Yep.
once you've taken the time to get
Right.
through
a
everything.
reward, not a 3 hour obligation.
No, here's the thing. I'm not a proponent. I'm not a proponent of the 3 hour obligation. I have to empty
Hope
my
you brought
bladder
your
too
Depends,
often.
fellas, because you're sitting this one through or you're missing it.
Specifically with Hideo Kojima,
All your
Yeah.
who made Metal Gear, he does
All your
not.
friends with bigger bladders are gonna.
He doesn't know how to end.
He doesn't.
He has
no.
a problem with ending shit, and it's just
Did
like,
I hear a Japanese name?
Yeah, that's
Well,
Metal Gear
okay,
Solid.
well,
Yeah.
All right, enough said.
Yeah.
yeah, he needs an editor by his side because great storyteller, but geez.
Okay, so what's your
All right,
last
so-
movie before break?
Before break, I'm going to leave us with Clockers. Clockers
Clockers.
is a Spike Lee joint. It was the first Spike Lee joint that I ever had a chance to see. It's got Harvey Keitel, a very young Mekhi Phifer.
Yeah.
Very young Mekhi Phifer. And what I love about this movie is similar to Limitless, it takes a different approach. So Mekhi Phifer is the brother, his older brother is very deep into I don't remember if they specify what drug they're selling in the neighborhood. You can presume it's probably either crack or heroin because it's heavy shit. Like it's
Yeah,
killing
no,
kids.
they don't really specify.
The plot revolves around one of the street. Mekhi Phifer's supposed to kill somebody. He doesn't do it because he's not in the life, so he gets his brother to do it. And then there is the mystery behind finding out
Onslaught of
who did
consequences,
it.
yeah.
But the way that Spike approaches the whole thing is very like there's no glorification of violence, no glorification of drugs, and the Mekhi Phifer character suffers from. They don't really clue in on it. You can assume he probably has some sort of a digestive issue. He's always hitting what looks like Pepto-Bismol, but the
Is that
overall
hinting towards inner turmoil? Like he's
yes,
guilty over
because
the fact that
he has a choice in the way that he is raised to where like this is the life he can succeed at.
yeah.
But he's not comfortable with this, and so there's this wrestling he has with because of the peer pressure, when you grow up in a neighborhood like that, in order to be a part of things, that's what everyone's doing around you. So to do something different, to have a different opinion, to have a different view on life, can put you into a position where it could be detrimental to your own safety, detrimental
Yeah.
to your own survival. And also how if this is all you know, what else is there for you to know to grow? Right? So this plot, it approaches it from a detective standpoint. Michael Imperioli and Harvey Keitel are your detectives who are
Right.
phenomenal fucking actors and always been favorites of
I
mine.
love Michael and Poirier. Yeah.
I was reading something, the theme song that he uses it to open the movie is the same exact song he uses to end his last film, which I want to say was either Crooklyn or... I'm gonna misquote, so instead of guessing, I'm just gonna say he reuses his theme song, but it's remixed. So while it was a happier version in the last movie, it is a somber version in this one.
Nice. Yeah.
And the opening sequence uses actual murder photos because right off the bat it wants to be unsettling. Spike wants to go in saying
He's
that
a brilliant filmmaker.
this is not, like, I am not making something to glorify this. You should spend the next 90 minutes with me figuring out whether or not this shit is worth it. Mm-hmm. And that's what he does. And that's what I think is so poignant and brilliant about that movie, because of the impact that he has in the community. And when that came out, you were talking about growing up having to watch a lot of the hood movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. There was an era in the 90s where that was just what was popping out there. Literally. And the way that it was presented a lot of times was like, this is the fun shit. Okay,
That's
ha, wink, wink, it's bad, but there's a risk here. There's actual cost to this, and they touch upon their parents, the loss of family, like you feel the loss of family, you feel the loss of brethrenship. So it's just overall, it puts out there what is at stake, what is the risk and the loss for being involved in this sort of life, and I commend him for taking that sort of approach during an era where Hollywood was exploiting drugs and gang behavior for their own benefit. And I think he took that. He was like, let's do something a little bit different with it, and ultimately made a beautiful film.
He did.
While unsettling, and definitely one, I saw this in school. This is something I saw in high school. Signed the parent forms. It was a humanities class, but
humanities, right?
I had a teacher who was a student teacher, and he was like, yeah, this is what we're going to watch, and this is what we're going to talk about. And I am forever grateful, because I think that was one of the movies that took me in a turn of seeing movies in less an entertainment way and more of what can we learn from life about it. Spike Lee's Clockers.
Clockers.
Have you seen it?
No.
I recommend it. You've seen it?
But it's been a while. It was more.
It has been a while for me too. So it would be something I'd love to revisit. But
me too. Yeah.
It immediately came to mind when this topic came up, and I've never had really a chance to talk about it.
Lucky 7. I don't even know if that movie's going to be number 7.
So that brings us to 2 apiece, and we've got each 2 left. So we're going to take a quick break, empty our bladders, get ourselves something to drink, get our giggles out, and we will be right back.
Floating. Yeah.
Give her a crack, Joe.
Welcome back to the Unorthodox Film Podcast.
Nice.
All right, so when we left, I put the recommendation out there for Spike Jonze Clockers, and that brings us to Fred.
So, like I mentioned before, my next one was Pulp Fiction. Hands down, one of my favorite Tarantino movies. And, I'm pretty sure everybody's probably seen Pulp Fiction.
You hope so. Quinn, have you've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you
Strong, absolutely.
Yeah. Fix that wrong in your life right now.
Maybe over 5 times?
Maybe 7
Same
times,
here.
honestly, yeah.
That's
a pretty specific number.
Yeah,
I've seen it over a dozen, several dozen probably.
I love Pulp Fiction.
I reference from that movie from time to time because we all know Tarantino is big on bantering and
one of my favorite things about him.
Yeah,
he has the best dialogue.
His dialogue is great,
and that's important to me as a writer because I only see writing in 2 ways. You're either going to write the characters based on story or development. Mm-hmm. Right. Everything else is just unnecessary, and their banters told a story whenever they would talk about massaging Marcellus Wallace's wife's feet or something like that, and it kind of led up. You would think that it's just useless talk.
Like the whole time is that he's like, he did that to him over a foot massage, and then Travolta spins it on him and goes, "Well, have you ever given one? Oh, I got my technique down and everything." Like, so you admit that something went on there, that was unspoken between the man's employee and his wife. So you can't stand for that.
What I think is so brilliant about that is the fact that that's the start of the film outside of the diner, right? Like, that's the pre. But like when we get into the flow of things, it's the 2 of them in the car and they're talking about the Royale with cheese and this and that. Yep. But these are 2 hitmen just having standard conversation.
Yeah, it's just a carpool on the way to the office.
Yeah, that's
Humanized.
Yes, it's brilliant because the other option, as you said, could have been development. So the whole thing could have just been discussion about the plot, about what they were going to do, about all this other shit, but that's not how life is.
Yeah, that would have been boring if it was in this kind of a film.
It was still used to build up the infamy of Marcellus Wallace.
Yep.
So it was a plot device, but it was used in a way that made these characters seem more naturalistic and relatable.
Yep.
And it continued throughout the film.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he was able, that set a precedent for him to be able to do that all the way throughout, you know, even up to, his name's drawing blank, John Travolta talking to himself in the mirror. You're going to go home, you're going to rub one out, and you're going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's all you're going to do.
That's all you're going to do.
And same with the interaction with him and Eric Stoltz's heroin dude. Is like, I'll take the Pepsi challenge with that Amsterdam shit any day. It's just so everyday in pop culture. You know, like these are jokes that people make.
Yeah, you're right about like Marcellus Wallace. They're talking about this villain through this banter or through these plots, and you never really see Marcellus Wallace.
No, and in fact, the first time you do see him is the back of his head with a bandage.
That long ass scene,
and like a little bit of his cheek, and that's it until the reveal of him chasing Butch down the street.
Yeah,
he turns. Motherfucker gets hit by a car, shootout. Like, it's an infamous character introduction. So
what I think is so great about Pulp Fiction is how he uses his action sequences, because they are just in the middle of a standard road. Like, they're not these huge set pieces. They're just your everyday street setting and
that poor
these
lady
crazy
who gets
fucking
shot
things.
In the hip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because there wasn't a lot of action in that movie, but when it happens, it's just, you know, it's Tarantino style, just gore, horrific, or very vulgar.
Phil Lamar getting his brain splattered all over the back of the car.
That threw me for a loop because
it came out of nowhere. He just turns around like,
oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
But
it's so nonchalant.
I'm looking at him like he's waving his gun around. I'm like, oh yeah, he got his finger on the trigger, and then
that is not good gun practice, as we later learned.
But
now I'm scraping up pieces of this motherfucker's skull. That's it. We switching. You on brain duty.
And in terms of like the drugs, like it was interesting because I watched this when I was young, so I didn't know what was going on when the whole heroin thing when she like sniffed it, and I was like, what is going on? But when I look at
she knew what she was doing. How'd she fuck it up?
Yeah. And looking at it now, I'm just like, wow, that just sent you on a wild roller coaster of, okay, that's not how heroin is supposed to be used.
She thought it was cocaine.
Exactly.
But that's why when you were younger, you didn't think, because you see her doing lines all night.
Yeah.
You didn't put the connection that white powder is not the white powder she's using. But most heroin is more like yellow or brownish tint to it, like. But that was that China white.
But they made a very
clear point.
They made
to
that
say
shit was clean as shit.
Yeah.
What is a clean drug? Like, that's always an ironic statement to me, you know?
Less chemicals in it.
It's the most poisonous.
It costs more because
this is the least watered down shit you can have.
Ain't no baby laxative in this. No Tylenol, nothing.
I was really creeped out. The whole movie, I was really creeped out when they had to give her the injection on her heart, straight stabbed. What kind of shot was that?
Adrenaline shot.
Adrenaline,
yeah.
Which they just happen to have on hand because they're fucking druggies.
The drug dealers.
Yeah, like it was nothing. Where's my little black fucking medical book?
And they were freaking out.
Yeah.
Eric Stoltz is probably completely underrated in that film.
And who played his wife? Jennifer Arquette? Yeah.
Patricia. Was that Patricia Arquette?
No, that was not Patricia Arquette. It was the other one that...
One of the other Arquettes.
It's the other sister who was born a woman, because now there's another sister
Alexis.
who was born a man. Yeah.
Alexis.
Yeah. So
from Wedding Singer.
Yeah, that's the trans one.
Yep.
Right. But so the other one.
Yep. There's so many. I'll look it up here in a second.
Jennifer
But yes,
Arquette,
it's one of the Arquettes.
Okay then. But it's not Patricia. It's not Patricia.
I'm looking right now.
Or the trans one.
But overall, like with Pulp Fiction, like my favorite thing about the entire movie is the story is fragmented. It's not in serial order. It's just backwards, forwards. on some
chapter 1,
and it works. Like, it almost feels Star Wars, like
it's
Star Wars 4, 5, 6,
it's
1,
Roseanne
2.
Arquette.
Roseanne Arquette. That's
Previously, it was really only done in books.
Right.
You know, in a book, you can do that. You can, you know, fragment and go here or there. But in a movie, it's really hard. And I can't say for certain that it was done before Tarantino, but he's definitely brought it into the normalcy. Like, I think without Pulp Fiction, there wouldn't have been, like, Memento or...
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's very accepted for us to be able to really
Watch
consume that, or even
non-linear.
even video games. I think video games are probably one of the more linear things / non-linear. Something like your open world Cyberpunk or Grand Theft Auto, where you can play the game in any specific order, and because the life happens. And for him to be able to do that in a movie where normally we're locked into 90 minutes to 2 hours and things are supposed to take place in a certain way, he found a way to present it to us that we can walk away still understanding what happened
and
following his rules
still
of time.
gave chronology the finger.
Exactly. You know, and I'll genuinely say that the first time I watched it, I don't think I captured all of that. Going back and watching Sam Jackson and
Jackie Brown.
John Travolta's fucking costumes is the only way to know where you are in time. Because you barely see them in the opening sequence. You barely see them walk by in their wolf white, they're cleaning attire after the Harvey Keitel
basketball
scene.
shorts.
Yes, and then you come back to them and you're like,
white boy outfit.
that was literally one of my favorite drug-based movies. Even though it didn't really. It had drugs in it, but it wasn't the...
It wasn't the core, but I'll tell you what, without drugs, it wouldn't have been that same movie. Drugs definitely moves that movie in all aspects. All aspects of that movie.
You know that he's high on heroin, he's driving to this date. You know that she's high on cocaine all that stuff.
I'm fairly certain the first time I watched it, I didn't realize how much of an addict John Travolta's character really was.
Oh, yeah.
And in later viewings, the guy's hooked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was just too young to see all the signs that he was.
That's let me pregame before we go out.
It's why he died. It's why he died. He wouldn't have got shot in the shitter if he wasn't strung out. He made the mistakes he made because he was high. Left his gun in the kitchen?
It's always a gun.
What the fuck is the matter with you?
It's always the gun.
His automatic machine gun with 100 bullets.
I'll just leave it right here.
Next
while I go to the shooter.
What could go wrong? Next to the Pop-Tarts.
If he'd have just had his breakfast before his morning dump.
Yes, exactly.
How long do Pop-Tarts take? 2 minutes?
I mean, how long is a standard toaster? That's a minute and a half.
Loaf. He couldn't pinch that loaf for 2 minutes.
He couldn't have cleaned his ass.
He was in there for over 2 minutes. Who pushed the plunger on that toaster?
Right.
Had to have been him. So he's just gotten started. Butch had some terrible time.
Yeah, but when he was coming out, did he come out because he heard the Pop-Tarts? Like, did you even shit? Is my point. Like, he was reading a book on the toilet.
Yeah, dude, he was chapters in, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was not the job.
I think we found the flaw. That's and that one door that opens behind Uma Thurman. And the one cut. Nobody's ever seen that. Right before she overdoses, like she's dancing, she goes to sit down. There's a door open in the back, and then cuts to her sitting down, taking off the jacket. The door's closed.
That was probably some grip.
Fucking G&E.
G&E, it's always G&E.
Well, you know what? If you'd have called rolling over the goddamn
walkies, if you'd have called rolling over the walkies, they wouldn't have come walking in.
Maybe it was a runner getting coffee or something.
It was just a first day PA.
And they saw it.
It was probably a producer who thought they were better than the production. I don't care if
we
you're
won't
rolling.
even go into that. We won't even go
I leave
into
my
that.
ringer on. I answer my phone.
Joe, that takes us to you.
I was already talking. Anyway, no. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, I have a lot here, but let me think. Yeah, okay, so I had two in mind, but
Do you have any variety? Move some variety onto the list?
I do, yeah. So, I was gonna, and this is a great movie, Spun. I was going to do Spun. It's about methamphetamines and how addiction affects. But that's really where we've been going down that road.
Yeah.
So, Across the Universe.
What an interesting spin. I'm going to take it.
Because it's all about LSD and mushrooms and mescaline and music.
I'm not gonna lie. So I've seen this movie once, and it was while I was getting a tattoo, and it was to my to chagrin. Like, I didn't want to be watching it, so I only half paid attention. So sell me on Across the Universe.
I'm also selling you on anything.
I'm not a Beatles fan.
You're a hard sell, and I'm not a salesman.
Well,
okay?
when I say that, I mean like our viewers.
Well, Across the Universe, it's basically the whole soundtrack is like Beatles songs.
It's Beatles.
So if you're not into the Beatles, steer clear. But I don't hold the Beatles up on any pedestal. I think they were
But it's a different approach to their music, right?
It is a totally different approach to music. It's all performed by the ensemble cast. And if you've ever read up on the drug movement and the music movements of the late 60s and early 70s, that whole hippie kind of thing, like the Merry Pranksters and
the Kool-Aid acid,
acid, electric Kool-Aid acid test, and all that stuff. This is heavily influenced on that, but it's an outside kind of perspective. It's basically, it kind of starts, and it's not fully following this one British guy's life, but it kind of is. Like, he moves over here, and then you follow. He meets friends, and all this grows, and it's a heartwarming story. But it's also kind of a glimpse inside what the world was like for an artist or somebody who was pushing that envelope that the hippies were pushing back then. If you were really going for that anti-establishment, anarchy, the government is propaganda and not to be trusted. If you there was a huge movement back then, and this really taps into that, and it really kind of showcases, in drug use, how, obviously, how moderation is key, but also how hallucinogenics, when done in moderation, can actually be, mind-expanding. And, and if you read, current studies that they're doing right now, it battles Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff like that.
About that, yeah.
They don't really tap on that in the movie, not that recent research, but it does showcase that it's not your typical kind of drug or addiction, right?
Have you seen Across the Universe?
Nope.
No.
Me neither. It was a phenomenon, and I mean, I'll admit it was my own. I'm not a Beatles fan, and while that's neither here nor there, all of a sudden, because that came out during the era of Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Yeah. 2007.
They had an exclusive Beatles thing. So all of a sudden, and this is for me good and bad. I always love when younger generations are exposed to older things. Because I think we should continue. Continue. That's why we do this, right? If you haven't heard of it, if it's outside of your reach, go back and watch it. And
I highly recommend it. It has actors like Jim Sturgis, Joe Anderson, Evan Rachel Wood, TV Caparo, Bono's in it, Martin Luther McCoy, Selma Hayek, Eddie Izzard. There's just so many powerhouses, and there's there characters in the movie that are representations of people from the era. One of the singers is supposed to be the Janis Joplin type character, but she's not Janis Joplin.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Martin Luther McCoy plays JoJo. He's supposed to be the Jimi Hendrix type character. He has got an afro, dresses in funky overalls, and can wail on the guitar. It's not Jimi Hendrix, but it's fucking Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just it really. It's an homage to that era. And it's kind of hey, if you didn't know about this, you should read up on this shit, kind of thing.
And that's so. I was working in an electronics store at the time, and right around the release of that movie, Beatles had a new re-release of their complete box sets with stereo remasters,
Right, it happened
mono
it was a movie
remasters.
that was trying to be made.
All of a
As
sudden,
soon
the
as
Beatles
their catalog was open.
the Beatles was so shoved down, and all of a sudden, people 15, 20 years younger than me were like, "Oh my God, Beatles are the greatest!" And it's but it hit my nerve wrong because it was a fad, right? I didn't feel that they were.
I can see how you could see it as exploitive, yeah.
And that turned me off.
But the movie is amazing. It stands the test of time. I still love it to this day. I will rewatch that for the rest of my life.
Well, there's a chance we might.
Yeah.
There's now a chance we
add that
might.
to my list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right. I don't want to cut you off. Is there anything else
very
you want to add about that?
psychedelic, very good watch. Interesting take on the drug movie. It's nice, and it's historical.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I mean, just from what you've said alone was more than I knew about the movie, because really all I knew about it was a musical based on Beatles music. You know, and that's all that anyone would say about it.
I wouldn't even say it's based on their songs. I'd say they use their songs as part of the narrative, but
so it's
loosely.
It's weaved in.
It's weaved into a story that was already written.
Okay.
It's not like the Beatles are just there.
Inconsequential.
Yeah. Kinda.
Is there literally no thematic connection to the Beatles other than their music?
None.
Interesting.
The one character from Britain, born in Liverpool. There's your connection.
That's not enough. Yeah,
No,
I can't even.
Nothing.
Interesting. Well, that's my own.
Bias. Getting
yeah,
in your
my
way.
own bias.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. So Joe gave us Across the Universe. So then, I had Spun on here too, and I just think like the overall mood. And there's a couple others here.
It's a great movie. It's
to lighten it up. I think
Spun was good.
I'm gonna go. I'm torn between two, and I'm gonna go Super Troopers.
Okay. All right. Good.
I'm gonna go Super Troopers.
I was thinking that, but wasn't gonna go there. So I'm glad you did, because I love that fucking movie. You boys like Mexico.
Mexico. So if you're not familiar with Super Troopers is about highway state patrol officers who are not doing very well. The county is about to basically de-escalate them and cut them out of funding because they're just a waste. And
Yeah, we already got.
they already got the local
police.
PD.
Why
They're
do
just
we
going to
need highway
merge.
patrol?
They're going to merge their cases in. The locale is real close to Canada and the Canadian border, so it's
Vermont,
a
right?
lot. It's Vermont, so there's just a lot of highway. And the mayor, who is the original Wonder Woman, she's like, it's not happening. But they come across this.
She was the governor.
The governor, thank you. Yeah. But they come across this dead body, and they fight with local PD on whose case it would be, and it turns out that it's a possible huge marijuana ring, and it's a comedy. Mm-hmm. It's an ensemble comedy with the Broken Lizard Troupe, who have done like Club Dread. This was their big one, but they've done Club Dread, Slam and Salmon. Beer Fest is probably their next notable one.
This is their biggest noteworthy
It's
thing.
very cheeky. It's very funny. It's quotable. It is something that you can watch with a group of people. It's something you can watch by yourself. And honestly, like the rewatchability of this movie is endless.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you seen Super Troopers?
You can tell my movie.
I'm leaning into your
Yeah.
highly recommend this.
The opening scene in itself is just. It just jumps right into the circle of relating to like high school to college life. You know what I mean? Like, it's three friends in a car that's probably dude's dad's,
right?
Or like he inherited from his grandpa because it's this old '60s classic, and they're just going to Canada to get.
They're heading out. I don't even know if we know where they're at.
They mentioned going to get fries and gravy. They want to get some poutine.
Yeah,
but they just have all these like weed and mushrooms on them, and they wind up getting
pulled over.
Woo woo, so they're like passing the drugs to the guy in the back so he can eat them all.
This guy eats a whole bag of mushrooms,
no.
And like
just
2 ounces of weed. And
no.
But this is where the movie
hilarious.
introduces itself. So similar to what we were saying about Pulp Fiction. So these cops didn't pull them over for anything specific. Mm-hmm. They just pulled them over to fuck with them. So the kids, unknowing to that, ingest all this drugs, all these drugs, right? So they pull them over and they start fucking with them.
And he comes up to the window, he goes, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And then the guy on the other side goes, "How fast you were going?" And he's just like, they're doing what they call the echo.
Yeah.
Right? They play these games. And as the movie goes on, you find out there's more games and there's all this shit.
They play a ton of different games.
They do not deserve to have the jobs they're fighting for, honestly.
Right. So with the plot being that they need their jobs saved and they need to fight for it, what you've seen really dictates that they don't deserve it. But you're on their side anyways because it's that type of comedy.
Fun. Yeah, you're like, these guys are great.
So it's a gas. It's the games that they play, as Joe mentioned, they're a lot of fun. The Meow, what's the one they... I'm gonna fuck him.
How many times can you say meow to an officer?
What's the one? What's the one where when they pull over Galifianakis in the truck, and he's like, "No, I'm not playing that one right now," and that's what ends up getting them locked in the fucking truck because they were like, "I'm not playing
The
this
repeater.
game." The repeater.
Yeah. It's where the echo. I misspoke when I called it the echo. They call it the repeater, and it's supposed to throw off the person, but in this instance, it throws off the other cop. And they wind up getting locked in the back of a semi.
Because they pulled the semi over trying to...
full of weed.
Full of it.
Wow.
Everything that they were looking for. This is the guy they were looking for. And, it's not one of those movies that you can essentially spoil.
Yeah.
Like the plot of this movie isn't necessarily
Unless
important.
we acted it out line for line, you could not spoil this movie because everything... It's a full of one-liners. It's
Yes.
Oh, okay.
just
Yes.
the comedy gold. Just so
Endlessly
funny.
quotable. Endlessly quotable. So I definitely recommend Super Troopers. That was, yeah.
Don't call me Unit 91 radio.
Don't call me Radio Unit 91.
Car Ramrod.
It's Car Ramrod.
Car Ramrod. Who wants a mustache ride?
I was just going to say the mustache ride.
I want one. I do.
I do. All right.
Time to take us back to the gym before we turn into
So my favorite
pumpkins,
line of the whole thing is when it's probably top of the second act, beginning of the third act, and they're looking through all their clues, and they come across this Johnny Chimpo, this monkey that looks like he's peeling a banana, and it's spitting out bananas as if it's like ejaculating, right? And one of the guys says, "Oh, that's Johnny Chimpo." And they're like, "Well, what's Johnny Chimpo?" "He's from these foreign cartoons and whatever." So they get a hold of him, and they're sitting there, they're stoned off of the evidence, right?
It's Afghanistan animation.
The chief, Brian Cock, comes in, and he's like, "What the fuck is you guys doing?" He goes, "It's Afghanistan animation." And just the delivery of that line,
It's so
Afghanistan animation, is it's one of my favorite
So
lines.
good. Yeah.
Whoop, shenanigans? We're going to shenanigans?
Oh,
I gotta check this
I'm gonna
out.
pistol.
Highly recommend
Like
it.
a Rotten
Swear to God, I'm
Tomatoes
gonna
full of
pistol.
quotables.
Anyone who's seen the movie is like, you guys are butchering the shit out of these jokes, but we're just randomly pulling all the things that will make you laugh when they come across, and you will then. It's one of those movies that if you run into people who have seen it, you can just throw the lines out and like immediately you're bonded.
That inside joke.
You're bonded right away just from connecting with Super Troopers.
I love acid. Cops.
Somebody across the
the
street like,
snozberries taste like
just points at you.
snozberries. All right, Fred, what is your last recommendation
I'm
today?
gonna go with Training Day.
Training Day.
Yeah.
Solid
Training
fucking
Day.
movie.
I mean, just it
Damn, boy, I didn't know you'd like to get wet.
yeah, it just makes you wonder, like, all of that shit really happened in the day, which is just so
Yeah.
confusing
They cram
to me sometimes.
so much. Beauty of editing.
It seems so unrealistic and at the surface value, but it does add up as like, that was a whole day.
Yeah, because they start at the one street and they end up back at the street.
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, it's a lot of activity, but they're in the car the whole movie, so they're constantly moving around the city.
Can you imagine how many car rigs that probably took to do in that movie?
Now if we watch it, I'm gonna have to count.
Last time I watched it, I wouldn't have been considering that. So now I would.
No, because it's been.
I'm remembering.
It's a great movie. I've seen it.
I remember the locations because didn't Ethan Hawke's character live in a really sweet ass like house that like was one of those on the hillside type dope pool open.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a cop by choice, ritzy life. Yeah,
Yeah.
so Denzel's character was trying to take him down a peg or two right off rip.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite Denzel Washington roles.
Performance, yep.
That's really good. One of my favorite of his is Man on Fire.
I don't recall seeing that one.
It's so him and Dakota Fanning, and he plays like he's an alcoholic. It actually could be on this list because he was an alcoholic, and he's washed up, right? And he's doing personal bodyguards and stuff. And like you're talking about a guy who was like Secret Service, and you know what I mean, the top of the top. And he gets down on his luck, and now he's guarding this low-grade family's daughter in Mexico City. It's
weird. But Denzel always seems to get into safe space roles, and this one was one that I felt like he was able to like really dive into the evil of the character.
That and American Gangster.
I love
like
American Gangster.
he dove into that one.
Okay, so I didn't think about that for the darkness of the character. Yeah, you don't see him be able to do that.
No, because you've seen him play bad guys before, but like the
In
depth
Fallen,
at which
when
the
he got
depth at
to
which he
play the
took
villain
the
in
character
Fallen.
in Training
Yep.
Day was so dark,
Manipulative.
so deep.
Yeah, that was his main thing, was just being manipulative, because he wanted Ethan to feel like, if you're not gonna take this job, you're failing yourself.
He made it
in a
real
way, like-
clear. He made it real clear. Like, listen, you can survive this if you just listen to what I say.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a thing going.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with it.
And it just paints that picture of working in narcotics.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, do you really have to be that Denzel to
You
be
have
in
to be that
narcotics?
dirty? Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you believe you do.
Yeah.
I don't know that you do.
There's
but
so many
there's
movies to
got
talk
to be
about.
a line to walk, though. You know what I
It
mean?
has to, yeah, because it's like, at what point do you just like doing that
Right.
that wrong ethics?
Right. Like, it's okay. The exposure to the life is going to change you.
Yeah.
Right. But his character definitely got something out of it. He went
loved
home
it.
and had no problem doing what he did.
He loved every moment of it.
It got him up in the morning to be a part of everything that he's a part of.
And I can't remember it, like, with his character development, was he already corrupt going in, or
100% day one.
Okay, because it's been a
Denzel?
while since I watched the movie.
The Denzel
Yeah,
character.
he was already corrupt.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
okay.
let you know right from the beginning. He didn't let Ethan Hawke know right from the beginning, but you could tell as a viewer, you knew, like, right when you were getting in, like, oh, this guy's no good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and to me, like, him trying to immediately sway Ethan Hawke's character in his like, you
Yeah.
have to be on my side, or that's
He tested
that
his limits. He put him through
screamed
different
dirty
little
cop
things to
to
see
me.
what can I get away with this. Because
Yep.
you always got to worry about, you know, is this guy going to squeal?
Yeah,
is this going to
is
fuck
he
up
legit or
my
not?
life?
Right.
Yep.
You know, because I don't. It's been so long since I've seen it. But didn't he put him by the end of the movie? He put him in a precarious situation that challenged his life, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
when he put him in
Several
the gang
times.
member's
Yeah,
house, and it was-
But like he kept upping the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Ethan Hawke kept coming out, he kept beating it. So he was like, okay, well, let's see how we kill this white
Yeah.
boy.
Yep.
You know, and ultimately it was training him to trust only him.
It was like
so that
watching-
you don't trust the badge, you trust me and my squad.
Yep.
Right. Which I do believe is important. I'm sure living that life, you have to have that
Yeah,
trust for your
but
partner.
it was
But it puts the question
abrupt.
in. It puts the question in: who's supposed to trust who? Ethan
Yeah.
Hawke was the good guy. He shouldn't have trusted.
No, never.
But he
Never
put him in that
should've.
position where it's like,
Which is so
Do
for-
or die.
For
Yeah.
somebody
Right.
to be as smart as him, he should already knew what the end game was when he got corrupted, because he know that nobody liked him. Everybody was waiting to find a reason to kill this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
And it's just
either
like,
you play the game or we kill you.
Yeah.
And if you play the game, we don't have to like you. Now we love you.
Yeah.
So don't slip up or you're dead. Like there's no real brotherly connection there other than we've done
it's
shit.
forced.
Yeah.
We're the
It's
criminals
forced
against the
fraternity.
criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's not going to make this list.
But you could sense that tension between all of them.
yeah.
A movie that I would
Absolutely.
really recommend that hits that years before Training Day, and I would argue that without even the real life situation, we wouldn't have Training Day, and that is now I forgot that it's Al Pacino, not Sicario. God damn it! I shouldn't open my mouth. Give me a second here. In the meantime, Joe, it's
Donnie
on.
Brasco.
Nope, way
Okay, 'cause
further
we
back.
already
Back in the
talked about that
70s. Back in the 70s. I'll give it to you.
Serpico.
Serpico, thank you. Serpico, where it's the introduction of the
Faster
Internal
than
Affairs,
Google,
IA.
bitch.
The introduction of the
built-in
Internal
Google.
Affairs. But if you've not seen that movie,
Serpico's really
you
good,
really
yeah.
want to talk about like what's at risk
Throwback.
being in a fraternal type of organization like the police officers and being the only one wanting to make a statement and everyone else against you, but you know you're right. It's you wake up with, okay, do I just make the steps necessary to allow me to continue breathing, or do I make the steps necessary to correct the wrongs?
Yep.
And it's this serious choice that Serpico has to make, and that's based on a true story and the creation of Internal Affairs and the
you're in too
investigation,
deep.
the cops for the cops.
Yep.
It's just it's
Be- yeah,
it's a
beautiful.
wild story, and I highly
Way
recommend
ahead of its
Serpico.
time too. Like
It's an intense movie.
Yeah.
It really is an intense movie.
Yeah, I love those kind of movies that where you're in too deep, because it almost makes it feel like, how in the heck is this going to end?
Yeah.
And
so we each have one more, correct?
Yep.
Oh, that was
no, that was
my
his.
last one.
That was his. It's on you.
Yep.
Oh, that was yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Training Day.
Yep.
Training Day. Okay, that's my bad. Yo, I'm ready though. Believe me. So I was tossed up on this one because I still got an extensive list here. So many good movies, but I got to go with one of my all-time favorite authors. Book turned into a movie.
I'm gonna start typing it here.
Mr. Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Haven't seen that one either.
You have not seen. If you
Terrible.
have not seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas,
So-
I recommend you read the book.
my terrible
But the movie is amazing.
habits.
It came out in 1998. It stars Johnny Depp, Benicio del Toro. It's about Raul Duke, that's Johnny Depp, and his attorney, Dr. Gonzo, Benicio del Toro, drive a red convertible across the Mojave Desert to Las Vegas with a suitcase full of drugs to cover a motorcycle race. As their consumption of drugs increases at an alarming rate, the Stone duo trash the hotel room and fear legal repercussions. And it just keeps going.
It's a 2-hour drug trip.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Like,
It's a 2-hour drug trip, 100%.
they visualize like he's like on ether and acid and cocaine, and he's checking into a hotel casino thing, and then they like go wait at the bar and we'll call your name. And as he walks into the bar, like everybody turns into like giant lizard people, and like the floor turns to water, and like it's just hysterical.
Yeah, it's
And-
Terry Gilliam directed,
Yeah.
and it's a phenomenal romp because the claim is that this is based on an actual weekend that Dr. Thompson had with his lawyer, but if that's true, and he consumed as much as he consumed, what is true?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
but like he's like, even in the movie, he's like always got this tape recorder like strapped to him or carrying with. So like, is what he wrote based on the tapes that he's listening and reinterpreting with a sober mind, his drug-addled rambunctiousness. And so it was all he got a job to write an article for a sports magazine to cover this like motocross sensation in the desert.
Right.
But it's the desert and it's motorcycles, and there's just a huge sand screen. Like, you can't see anything. They're driving around following the racers in the doom buggy, and he's just
It's probably
can't
one of
see anything.
the most invested roles that Johnny Depp has ever had. So he spent quite a bit of time with the author, Hunter S. Thompson, to learn his mannerisms, to learn his
R.I.P.
street patterns, speaking patterns, to learn just all the different nuances of what that person was. And he became very close with them. And,
He spent 6 months living in Hunter's basement.
yes.
Wow. Was the basement specifically for a character development reason, or that was just
Like,
where he had to
that's
stay?
where Hunter had a bed for him to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, he initiated it
But it
for
was
the role.
for character
Yes.
development. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not he enjoyed the shit out of it.
I was gonna say
yeah, he had a good
They
time.
became lifelong friends.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
He since portrayed him in another movie called The Rum Diaries, where Hunter had passed, and they still had a director's chair with his photo on it, and Johnny would walk and a bottle of his favorite whiskey, and Johnny would walk by, open the whiskey, take a swig, pour some out, dab it on. Okay, now I'm Hunter. It was all part of his transformation.
I agree with Joe. It's a phenomenal movie that it's an experience. I don't know how to describe the movie other than an experience.
It's not really telling a story.
No, it's so. First off,
Other
it
than
begs the question:
what-
how does anyone survive consuming that amount of copious drugs
Yeah.
in a weekend and
So
make
a lot
it
of the
alive?
movies we've talked about have pointed out how self-control and moderation can help curb drug addiction, or the serious life repercussions that are onslaughted by no self-control or extreme. This movie questions what happens when you just do all the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and how do you affect people's lives? Like, there's Christina Ricci plays a part where, like, Dr. Gonzo picks up this girl on the street, and she's trying to become an artist, and she's struggling, and he feeds her acid, and she goes crazy. And like, it's nuts.
And that,
Yeah.
I love stories where the actors really get close to, like, you know, the true story people or like the authors to get their mannerisms, because it feels like
Johnny Depp really went over the hurdle on that one.
It feels like a treasure trove of like information of character development for the actor.
Yeah.
And they get, especially when you say that they live with him and stuff like that, it's almost like you're just going to become that person at some point. And I love just hearing stories about that, because oftentimes it's like writers, you know, we're creating the character development and we can only go so far, but you're talking
when
to the man.
Actors that deep in it, yeah.
Talking to the man.
He was fully committed to that role.
See, now,
100%.
And they were like, when Hunter S. Thompson wrote the book, Raoul Duke was basically him, and Dr. Gonzo was whoever his companion or lawyer or whatever was at the time.
I find it hard to
they
believe
are
that
not
actual
their
lawyer.
real names. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Right, like,
they were
so
aliases.
Raoul Duke was Hunter S. Thompson, right?
Right, because the book came out of that. The book came out of that
So
weekend.
he's
I don't even know if he
playing a
actually ever wrote
caricature
an
of
article.
himself, even in the book, right? Now, when we do the Rum Diaries and Johnny Depp plays Hunter S., he's playing Hunter S. Thompson, like, because the Rum Diaries was actually like autobiographical.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Interesting. I didn't
So
know.
yeah, if you're really interested in seeing just
Rum Diaries
how
is a good book,
far
too.
deep Johnny Depp went down that rabbit hole of figuring out who his character portrayal was as a person, like, you really see it in the Rum Diaries. Like, he almost, if you know Hunter S. Thompson, like the way, I don't know him like Johnny Depp does, obviously, but the way I've studied him in his readings and like all his interviews and his mannerisms, he nailed it. Like, I felt like I was watching a prettier, less bald Hunter S. Thompson. No offense, Hunter.
You want to talk about ugly in that movie, Topher Grace. Is it Topher Grace? Who? No, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire showing up as a bald hitchhiker.
And as if, you know, I mean, he's not the ugliest guy, but he's not the handsomest man in Hollywood. They had like a prosthetic nose and a fake bald cap on him. Like, he looked freaky, bro.
They picked him up somewhere near the beginning of the movie out in the middle of the desert as a hitchhiker, and he's like as strange as they are. And it's...
Looking
it's
as
romp.
weird as Chris Elliott in Scary Movie.
Boom.
But without the strong hands.
Yes.
Oh no.
Same haircut and
highly
everything.
recommend it. Nice pick, Joe. So I just added one to mine because our lists this week were very in line, and the way that things have been going, I was like, okay, I do want to add something a little different. But this is the first time a director has gotten twice on our list, and I think for my last recommendation, I'm going with Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown. Okay, all right.
Movie about...
Should have left Fear and Loathing for you, man. I had way better ones on that.
Oh,
Just go ahead.
Way better.
We're gonna do the
so here's
review
the
in a
thing.
minute.
I had some other ones, but there are ones where it's like, okay, do I really need to tell people to watch these movies? And we'll talk about them. We'll digest them.
Yeah.
But as far as ones that I personally think that Jackie Brown is probably one of the most underrated Quentin Tarantino movies, and probably the least watched when it comes to people who have seen a lot of his movies. And it's one that's not based on an original Tarantino idea, right? It's based on I forget the name of the author.
It's not a true story, though.
No, it's not a true story.
Based on a book.
Based on a book.
But it's not Quentin Tarantino originated.
Original,
Yeah.
right. The way that he uses time in that third act, and have you seen Jackie Brown?
Nope.
Okay. Highly
Another one
recommend
on the
it.
list. Another one.
So-
See, that's usually like the reactions when I tell people. I'm
so
like,
how much
but like
you
I
love
said-
Pulp Fiction? This
it's
is
like
the
I said,
closest one
it's
of
one
his
of
to
one of
that.
his
So-
underrated people because of when it came out. It came out pre-Kill Bill. It came out post Pulp Fiction, and it didn't hit the way that others did. It doesn't have any gory, bloody scenes. It doesn't have any big action sequences that you would think of, but it's smart and it's clever. And it's got
Pam Grier.
Pam Grier's the lead. She's a stewardess, and she gets roped in by the DEA
Bridget Fonda.
to nail one of the bigger drug dealers, played by Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson,
and
of course.
she's double
Robert De
crossing.
Niro.
She's double crossing both her drug dealer, Sam Jackson, and the DEA, and she's running drugs in and out of Mexico on her flights, right? And she is tired of being pushed around for just being a no good woman, for lack of better terms. Like, you know, she's put up with shit. She's not doing well in life, and she's done everything she should. And now here's life. Like, she gets caught. I forget what gets her caught originally.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
She gets the DEA. The DEA hones in on her for some bullshit, and she takes it into her own hands. And so the movie follows her turmoil of going in jail, out of jail, with one of Sam Jackson's more fun roles, and then Robert Forster plays a bounty, a bail bondsman, who kind of falls in love with her. He puts her bail up, and he gets involved, and so it's this very Elmore Leonard is the writer.
Yeah.
It's this very, it feels like an old 70s blaxploitation type of movie, so I think this was Tarantino's approach. Like, you know, he does different genres each time he goes in, and how can I make this my own? So this is, you know, he uses, you know, Jackie Brown, you know, Foxy Brown, the original. It puts her in, and she's older and hasn't been seen in movies in a long time, and he did to her or tried to do with her what he did with Travolta, and kind of reinvigorate, and she does a fucking amazing job. All the cast, the whole cast in this does an amazing job. It's a character piece.
I think he did jumpstart her career as much as it was going to be jumpstarted. Like, she
that's
did
fair.
start making more appearances, but like in stuff like Pootie Tang, and
Right.
like, so, you know, cultural movies, but not to the standing that she's capable of, but she got back to earning again.
I don't think Jackie Brown has gotten the
always
credit that
refreshing.
it deserves, and so
I don't
I had to put it
either.
on the
I'll
list because
definitely
I
give you
think
that one.
it's a movie in the pantheon of Quentin Tarantino movies that gets, for whatever reason, because it's not as flashy, because it's not as violent, whatever the case may be, it's just not as talked about, and I think is one of his better stories. And better approaches. It's funny. It's got
It's definitely
a young
like
Chris
you say,
Tucker.
a different approach than Quentin Tarantino
So
usually takes.
we were talking about chronology, right? So Pulp Fiction the whole thing was out of whack. With Jackie Brown, the story is sequential up until a point, and then you split off and you see this one particular series of moments from multiple different perspectives.
Oh, so a bunch of parallel
And it all
stories.
kind of wraps you in. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so the third act is this whole like, what?
Okay.
and it is done very well.
And he's not done that since.
You ready to roll that die?
I've got these things fucking numbered, bro. I am ahead of the game today.
All right, let's see what you got.
All right.
Shake that wrist for us.
I'm gonna let
Yeah,
Fred
guest-
roll this die here.
guest
Give it a good
honors,
shake. There's
yeah.
a 12-sided. This is to determine what we're gonna watch and talk about next week.
Alrighty.
Next episode. We gotta stop saying week because we don't know if we're gonna do these weekly.
9.
It's the next one that comes up. 9.
Yeah, that's why
Yep.
episode,
9.
not week.
9 is Jackie Brown.
Oh, nice. Okay.
All
So
right, then.
I'll get to watch
Cool.
that then.
Yeah.
What platform is it on?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Let's
Now, for
pull up
that
Just
question,
Watch.
I usually go to the app Just Watch.
Yep, I'm gonna go to Just
Okay.
Watch, and we'll see right now what that bad boy is on.
I'll tell you everywhere it is for free and for rent. And no, they're not paying us. Just a good app.
Right.
Just a good app. It's free.
All right, Jackie Brown is. Wow, we might have to roll again. This motherfucker's not watchable.
On anywhere. Yes. Yeah,
Really?
97
It-
movie.
It
They
is
pulled
not
the Surf
watchable.
Ninjas on you?
Now here's the thing. I actually own this movie so we could watch it, but
Yeah,
how
I
is
have a
anyone
Blu-ray
how is
player.
anyone else gonna fucking watch this thing?
Like, you're telling me you can't, it's not on YouTube?
It doesn't even say
You can't
it
rent
doesn't
it?
even dude, it doesn't even list Amazon.
That's
I
crazy.
can't even rent it on Amazon? Like, can I buy a
Do you know what?
DVD
Here's-
on Amazon?
Okay, so if I'm putting speculation out there, he did all his business with what's his nuts.
The author?
No, that fucktard who's sitting in jail rotting.
Weinstein.
Weinstein.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's under the belt.
It's probably
it's
under
in
the-
limbo,
Okay.
baby.
Yep. All right. Well, you're gonna have to give that die another roll there,
All
Fred.
right.
That sucks.
Number 5.
Number 5
A
is
Finster.
Clockers.
Clockers. Welcome rewatch. Very welcome rewatch, yes. And honestly, I've not seen that as much as Jackie Brown. So
It's been a very
more
long time since I've
refreshing
seen it. Yeah. So let's see where that one
refresh.
plays. Just watch.
Is that Peacock?
I own it on Vudu, so I know that's where we'll probably watch it.
I
But
have
let's see
the
where else.
Peacocks.
Yep, I got Peacock.
Oh, this one lists quite a bit. So you can rent it on Apple TV. Yep, Peacock Premium. It is rentable on Amazon, YouTube, Vudu, and you can buy it on DirecTV, Redbox, Apple TV, and Amazon. So it's available out there, way more than Jackie Brown. So next week,
that's
next
because Spike Lee doesn't fuck with predatory people. He tells stories.
A lot of that, because it was, I think it was a Miramax release. Miramax went under. There's probably a lot of different distribution issues going on with all of that.
Because of that.
That's a shame, because a lot of Tarantino's career is tied in with Weinstein.
And it's not even buyable on Amazon.
No, that's crazy.
All right, so we're going to watch Clockers. We're going to discuss that next week. Fred, it was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Yeah, next episode. That's right. And don't snap your fingers into the mic. Jesus.
Did I snap?
Yes, like 3 times.
We'll have to watch the tape.
Each time. I was like, "Ow, God."
Well, I'll have to get better with it. So, what's on your didn't make it list, Joe? What's your honorable mentions?
Oh, the honorable mentions.
I think we went quite a bit long today, so let's do this one with some brevity.
Let's just some gusto on this. Okay, so obvious stoner movies: Half Baked, How High, Pineapple Express.
Yep.
I had Juice, Scarface.
Yep. I avoided Scarface.
From Hell, which is about heroin and it's a detective. Yeah, so that's Johnny Depp.
I did think about that, but I didn't know because it was tied with his character.
What's his name? Plays Bilbo Baggins.
Right. Yeah. The Chasing the Dragon.
Great movie. The movie Crash.
Yeah.
Requiem for a Dream, The Basketball Diaries. But I did mention those in my explanation of why I picked another one.
Yep.
Spun, which we both were, and Tarnation.
I'm not familiar with
Tarnation. Is more about this guy with what you call a dissociative disorder.
Okay.
But he has to take a lot of drugs to deal with that. And the movie is this guy who suffers this made this movie himself. And he shoots it all weird because that's how he actually like sees the world, like visually, like the way his mind interprets it is how he edited the movie. So it didn't really fit, but it's so like one-off and unique that I just had to mention it. Tarnation, probably hard to find. I don't know. My wife and I have it on DVD, but of course she owned it. Yeah, definitely an older movie. Yeah.
That's interesting. We did have a lot of crossover this week, so there were a lot of things that you mentioned that I'm not going to repeat on here. But the ones that weren't mentioned, Blow, Goodfellas, right up there with Scarface. You know, like they're epics. With mentioning Wolf of Wall Street, I felt like that kind of
Goodfellas though. Like if you ain't seen Goodfellas,
this is what I'm saying.
What's the matter, you?
What's the matter, you? What's the matter, you? Casino. But I also considered Traffic, which was Steven Soderbergh 2001, and that hits all different sides of the drug trade, from the users to the sellers to the police, and so that's.
But I put on Crash instead, which is very similar, but also totally different. Like, but same.
I avoided talking about Traffic because I don't think I've seen it in almost 20-something years. Like I remember watching it, I own it, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't a rewatchable type of movie because I got the point when I watched it. Yeah, it's definitely been long enough that it's due a rewatch, but I didn't feel confident enough to discuss it.
Ooh.
Also, The Big Lebowski. But I felt I'd save it to watch. There's probably another list that qualifies more. Come on, I mean, it's weed all the way,
joints?
all the way. I mean, it's tied into his character as much as it is From Hell. It's not part of the story, but it's part of the character. But that's why I didn't bring it up.
The doctor and the detective are both heroin addicts. Like that, that ties in.
There's a whole drug hallucination scene in The Big Lebowski. So
yeah. Well, but I mean, that's not the marijuana, though. That
it's still a drug.
Motherfucker got roofied.
Okay. Damn, that sucks.
I'm proving his point for him. Right, moving on.
Fred, thank you so much. For our Patreon listeners, Fred is going to stick around with us, and we're going to do a quick little industry chat. So I think...
that in the episode.
What?
What?
So they can come in. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening, and we will be here next time on the Unorthodox Film Podcast.